There's like one host on The View that occasionally surprises you, and maybe she surprises herself. So it's always worth noting when a CNN host actually admits the truth. Don't forget, lots of good things going on right now. It looks like we might get some kind of peace deal, possibly the hostages coming out of Gaza. I mean, it's very exciting stuff for President Trump and for the family members there and for Israel. So this came up on the program the other night that she hosts. And what's amazing to me, it's not amazing, but it's disheartening and it's sad. One of the guests who's a Democrat staffer type who had run some campaigns or had some involvement in some campaigns starts to say that she really doesn't want to see this happen if it's Donald Trump doing it. That's how perverted this is, you guys. Let's watch together.
If President Trump is able to do this, it's a major victory for him.
Mm-hmm. Look, it is challenging to actually hear that piece of, Trump potentially being the one to get the ceasefire deal. But
What? It's challenging for you? You don't want that? Don't you want a ceasefire? For goodness sakes, I mean, this is how embedded they are with their politics. Look at Scott's face.
I think what we are seeing now is that a lot of people are tired of the devastation that's happening to the Palestinian people. And so how do we figure out a path forward? And so I would be interested to understand President Trump's interest in this, because he has said some things that are very harmful to the Palestinian people. I don't know what his motivations are.
He wants the war to end. I mean, he wants.
She's right. Okay, so this is why we're calling this CNN host caught admitting the truth. He wants the war to end, and I can guarantee you that. I can guarantee you that he does not want people dying. Period. He wants it over. Hey, a Nobel Peace Prize. Yeah, sure, that'd be great, right? You can collect one of those along the way. But I guarantee you his number one goal, and this is his frustration right now with Putin, by the way, in terms of Ukraine, right? He does not understand why you would be costing lives like this. These are human lives. Let's continue.
That's what he wants.
He wants the war to end for a lot of reasons. Some of them are personal reasons. He wants that Nobel Peace Prize. Some of them are that I do think that whatever you think of Trump, he does not like the idea of all the death and destruction. But
it's true, okay? Like, I know him well enough to know he really, really does not like the death and destruction. He's like, wait a second. You get some good beachfront property here. You can put up some nice condos. Like, everybody will have a nice life, make some money. Like, why are we fighting? Why are we fighting? Why are the Democrats fighting him and the GOP in Chicago, when all he's trying to do is say, hey, let me make this a little bit safer for you. You guys can't get it under control. I'll send in the National Guard. I'll help. Why do we have to fight? Why can't we have peace in the Middle East? Why can't we have peace between Ukraine and Russia? He's a realist who looks at it through, you could call it a simplistic lens, but he's like, hey, you make money, they make money. Everybody lives happily ever after. You have a nicer life for your kids, and, isn't that what it's about? He's bringing the American dream, shall we say, global. But not everyone can get there, including, unfortunately, too many Democrats and members of the media right here back at home. So they're occasionally calling them out. It's almost like they got wind of things, right? They knew that they were really sinking in the polls. Well, they know they're sinking in the ratings over there at CNN, and I do think that one anchor, Jake Crapper, somebody called him, he's like, it's scummy. Like, guys, that was a scumbag move to write that book after being part of the system. It basically told people like me, we were wrong. How dare we? How dare we? How dare we suggest mental decline, that somehow that was nothing but a bunch of cheap fakes? I'm like, no, I'm showing you the raw footage here. You guys make your own decision. That pretty much sums it up. The guy is suffering from some kind of mental decline. Anyway, then after the fact, he comes out and he writes a book about it, trying to pretend like he wasn't part of the system. So he's a scumbag. The media is filled with scumbags. Just saying. Okay? I've been around. I've seen it. This is what my career has been. I've been disillusioned many, many, many times. But again, credit where credit is due. Finally, he called out Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem didn't know what to do because it turns out, Yeah, the healthcare spending that we're fighting over here for the shutdown, the 1.5 trillion, it actually would go to illegals. Watch.
Donald Trump blessed it as well.
So let me ask you about a provision that the Republicans are talking about quite a bit. I know you want to talk about, and Democrats want to talk about, extending the Obamacare subsidies, which expire at the end of 2025. But they talk about the provisions, and it's right here, subtitle E, and this has to do with the repeal of healthcare subtitle changes, and specifically what it is. How they characterize it is, you want to give health insurance to undocumented immigrants. I understand that's not really an accurate depiction, but what it does do is...
It's a lie.
It's a lie, but what you support does bring back funding for emergency Medicaid to hospitals, some of which does pay for undocumented immigrants and people who don't have health insurance. And also there is this provision, and it's not about undocumented immigrants, it's about people with asylum seekers and people with temporary protected status, et cetera, but about their ability to get Medicaid. So they're non-citizens, they're not undocumented, they're not illegal. Why even include that in a bill knowing that they're going to seize right upon that and use that to message? I understand that.
Why do that? Oh, we're going to get to Greta, little Greta. She's been deported out of Israel. What do you know? But you see where he's going with this. I mean, you get the Grim Reaper, right? Coming to New York City, taking all the money away from the likes of Letitia James and Kathy Hochul. They're losing $18 billion worth of infrastructure spending because of the shutdown. So this is like manna from heaven, right? Like you got Russ Vaughn out there who's like, aha, I've been working on this one, Project 2025, for years, and this is his dream come true. So now he has the opportunity to actually really slim down government in a pretty meaningful way. And the Democrats, it's like they can't see the forest for the trees. And so they're going to continue with this line of thinking, no, we just want to stand up for everybody. And everybody's like, well, what about us? What about us? So don't you care about us? Aren't you going to stand up for us? And I think the short answer to all of that, guys, if you haven't figured it out by now, is no, because they have their priorities. You know what they did in California.
Last year, the Golden State spent nearly $6.5 billion on health insurance for migrants, and through a Medicaid loophole has shifted most of the cost to the federal government. Here to react to Fox and Friends Weekend co-host Charlie Hurd and Griff Jenkins. Part of that, Charlie, is that the Medicaid is reimbursed 50% by the federal government. And when you go to a hospital, you have to be treated. When a illegal immigrant shows up, there's a pile of money for them to be treated.
Yeah, and of course, this is not a fluke either. This is not just some one random thing happening in one state, like a crazy state like California. This has been a central plank of the Democrat Party for years now. Everybody now remembers that in 2020, during the Democrat primary, they were asked, who here supports giving free health care to illegal aliens? And every single Democrat running for the nomination put up his hand and said that they support that. And of course, this also comes after we went through COVID, where Democrats led the efforts in all of these big cities, including New York City, spending billions of dollars, billions of taxpayers' dollars on free housing for illegals. So this is not some random thing. This is actually part of their intentional policies.
And the GOP is not going to have it. And Donald Trump's certainly not going to have it. And so that's where we are right now. So yeah, Letitia, Kathy Hochul, you're losing funding as we speak. Hey, Gavin Newsom, you're losing funding as we speak. He actually went on to the Michael Savage show and tried to justify this somehow, as Michael was like, but this makes no sense. I want to show you this clip. I plan to show you this clip. Let me try again.
Into an emergency room when I pay more taxes than any 10,000 of them do.
You know what? That's why we do preventative care. That's why we have a different approach, because we have sick care in the emergency room that's universal across this country.
Well, I told
people have access all across the country.
Who's paying for it?
You know, unfortunately, I can't show you. It's got music in it, believe it or not. And music is kind of a touchy thing on YouTube. So we'll let that one go. I'll just paraphrase it. He's basically like, well, you don't need to go to an emergency room, Michael. You don't need to, because you've got preventative care. And it's like, whoa. So now you're telling everyday Americans they can't go to an emergency room? You know what? I've gone to an emergency room a lot, without, sharing too much information. But, I had to have my appendix out once. That was an emergency room that told me that. My daughter cut her hand and had to have surgery. That was an emergency room that we went to, okay? These are emergency rooms that you go to in case of emergency, Gavin Newsom. So no, you can't be spending all the money from the emergency room on a group of people that should not be in the country, and that the president and ICE and the DHS are trying to get out, okay? Like the emergency rooms actually need to exist for everyday Americans. I mean, is that terrible to say? Am I such a terrible person to say that? I mean, listen, we all want to help everyone, right? But it's out of control, and it's gotten out of control because they chose to do that. And this is why, in case you haven't seen it yet, this becomes a little bit funny because every news network has now played it, thereby ensuring that all the old people that watch those news networks, I'm sorry, I know I have a lot of older people watching this too, but I was looking at that Gallup study, and the Gallup study into the media said it was basically older Americans that still trust the mainstream media. And I'm like, no, please tell me you don't trust them, because they're a bunch of you-know-whats. And at least they're playing this meme.
Voted. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of you know? At least for a while, until they learn English and they realize they hate us too.
Oh my goodness. It's just funny, okay? It's just really, really funny. But anyway, things are changing fast. And that is what the left cannot manage. I mean, he has outsmarted them at every single turn. You're looking at now major, massive budget cuts in blue states. You are looking at the possibility of $1 to $2K for each and every American in the form of a dividend check, thanks to the tariffs. I mean, and we got a market that's been on fire. It's really just like a very, very sweet spot, a very incredible sweet spot. And you know what? We have someone to thank. Well, we have ourselves to thank, right? Because we made the right decision. Can you imagine where we would be, ladies and gentlemen, if that Kamala Harris was actually in there? We would be nowhere. In fact, I can tell you the market would be down. Everybody would be pessimistic. It would feel like a worse version of Jimmy Carter 2.0, which was what the Biden years were. And we'd be nowhere. But guess what? Things are looking up. You know, if you see, I got a new sticker from my computer, which is a good thing because I think some of you guys had pointed out I was advertising Apple, and they don't pay me to advertise. So I'll advertise my own company instead. I want you to go to 76 Research and sign up for my newsletter if you have a moment. Use code word $. Then you can get the research for $1 a month for the first 2 months, and it goes to $9.95. So go check that out if you get a moment today. We do have a lot of great ideas on how to invest for the future there for you. Listen, this is a good time, right? Things are happening in this country, and I have tremendous faith in Maganomics. Okay, I have ever since I ran through his tax plan. I didn't just run through it. I actually read through the entire thing. I read through tax plans in my spare time. What can I say? It's just kind of a core part of who I am. And I remember reading this in 2016 and saying, wow, this is good. It was really good. It was better than Cruz's in my estimation. Cruz had a good one, but he had a VAT tax in there, or the hidden tax that you weren't going to see. This one was good. And so congratulations to him and to us for being back in office. I mean, I'm thinking that Trump 2.0 is kind of interesting. Trump 2.0 is kind of fun. And if you're a Democrat, I get it. Trump 2.0 is scary. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell. Oh, guys, I'm over on Spotify too. Make sure that you go. I've got the link in the show notes right there. I love it because you know what? I don't have a whole lot of followers. We're doing well here on YouTube. We've got more than 1 million, but I need some help over on Spotify. So if you would, it's free. Just go there, follow the show, watch one show, leave a nice review, please. 5 stars only. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate everything you guys do. I'll see you right back here tomorrow.